Hello everyone, this is our second video lesson and I'm glad to see you here watching it. So today we're going to talk about creating a breathing space for our pieces. Compared to the previous lesson, it's quite the opposite for our side. And we're going to use the temporary pawn sacrifice technique. So now let's have a look at this position. As you can see, white has a more active position and a lead in the development. Consequently, we need to be thinking about opening up the center. But the usual castling wouldn't help here because of pawn f4. And after pawn f4 move, the center remains closed and we do not get any further play. That is why white one started with f4, a more active move, which is a sacrifice that allows white ones to open up. And this way, we're not afraid of losing the pawn because after the castling, f4 cannot be protected. The difference is that now we have open files and the game remains really good for the white ones. So let's see what happened later after the castling. Knight a6. Black ones initially had an idea of knight a6 and knight b4, but right now we wouldn't waste the move on a3 to protect it because rook f4 already gives us a lead in the development and a space advantage. And after knight b4, rook h4, we get a really good position attacking h6 and getting the positional play. Before we get to our next position, I would like to say that your active participation is very encouraged. So please write your question and comments in the below section in the forums so we can open up new discussions together. Let's have a look at the second position. Now, please write your answers. You can again click on the post just like the previous time and write your answers and then compare with the with how actually the game went. Before we start with the right move, let's discuss what black ones want to do. F wants to take e4 pawn and then f file opens up and then we have attacks on f4 again. To prevent that, we have two options and the strongest one is of course e5. However, if you wrote e takes f, in this case, it's not really good for the white ones because the space in this case is beneficial more for the black ones, not the white ones. Because after the trade, f line and f4 pawn here remains a weakness. That is why we need to find a different way. And e5 is perfect for that. And let's see why. Here, we have an option of taking, but this is the moment we need to sacrifice the pawn and do knight c2. Knight c2 is the strongest move. Why? Because when we rush to take f4 and f3, we follow this idea. The black ones follow this idea, and after f3, as you can see, we get a really bad position. It's not only about the king, also about the space and everything else. Everything else is really good for the black ones. That is why let's go back and see. The best move here, yes, it's knight c2. So knight c2, queen c2, and e1 is now extremely active. However, black ones did Not a very good move. Rook b8, rook b d8. Rook b8 was stronger because after taking e5, it's b6, and even though we follow the same idea, we opened up the space, we bring the rooks, double them in e line. Let's see what happens. Bishop d7, queen d2. Yeah, this way they achieve a really beneficial fair trade, but still. Of course, the development is better for the white ones, but there is a slight equality, and the black ones could still compete for the result. However, after rook b d8, it's all worse, because after rook e5, queen f6, and rook f e1, white will soon be able to rejoice with an extra pawn, because all of these are now weak points and are under attack. So of course, compared to that, it's worse for the black ones. This rook b8 was the best move. However, this is how the game went, and soon enough, the white ones won the game. So I hope the lesson was interesting. I will wait for your comments, and I hope this technique will be helpful for your future games when you want to create some extra space for your pieces. See you in lesson 3, and bye bye.